Good evening, everyone. And welcome to the Monday, March 9th meeting of the Bennington Select Board. We are in the third floor multi-purpose room at the fire facility at 130 River Street in Bennington. My name is Tom Haley. I have the honor of chairing this board, and I will ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves, starting with Nancy.
Hi, I'm Nancy White.
Good evening, Sarah Perrin.
Hello, Jim Sullivan.
Good evening, my name is Jackie Matz.
Yes, good evening. My name is Clark Adams.
I'm Ed Woods.
Thanks very much. Also with us this evening, we have Shannon Barsati sitting in on the audiovisual. We have Nancy Lively, who is preparing to take excellent minutes. We have Tabor Coulter from Cat TV, making sure this gets out to the community. We have, of course, Town Manager Dan Monks. I think that was everyone. So we'll begin this evening, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Clark, could you lead us, please?
Oh, absolutely, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks very much. Next, we'll have our vision statement, and I neglected to warn anybody that they'd be reading it tonight, so it's been a while since I read it. Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life. And we'll move on to the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, before we get any farther, I do need to ask that we amend tonight's agenda. We have received a request, you'll recall at our last meeting, I referred briefly to a letter from the leader of the Southwest Vermont Multiple Myeloma Support Group. She has made a formal request, and I thought it best to place it before this board so we can discuss it. So if I could have a motion to add item, let's put it at, let's say 4A, right after public comment. If anybody would be willing to make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. So all those in favor of amending the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And no abstentions. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, now on to the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of February 23rd, the warrants, and the licenses. For the purpose of discussion, could I have a motion to accept?
I make that motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Clark.
On the minutes, line 334, page 10. I think that should read that this was, personal funds or personal financing.
So maybe something like personal, so instead of folks, you want finances?
Right, well, the money is coming from personal funding and financing. It's not governmental funding. I would make it clear that
Okay.
we were talking about funding sources for this project, so I wanted to make clear that that was private money or personal funding for those projects.
Okay, so maybe something, they're private parties investing their own money?
Correct, something along that lines, correct.
Let's go with that.
And I also had some warrant question, but I can hold off till other folks have done their issue with it.
Anyone have anything else on the minutes?
None for me.
Okay, then we can move on to that. Clark, go ahead.
Okay, item number 405184 on page 5. The $28,000 for a ladder repairs. What could someone enlighten me as to what the heck that was for?
Sure. There was a, excuse me, there was a accident involving the ladder truck. I believe they struck a, I'm not sure if it's a curb or something, but it was a accident involving the ladder truck and a solid object, not another vehicle.
Okay.
No insurance on that?
Insurance is paying for it, yes.
So we'll be reimbursed that expenditure?
Well, we're being reimbursed by our insurance company, not by another party's insurance company.
Okay, and that was the follow-up on this accident. So it did not involve a third party or third-party?
It did not
partner?
involve a third party. It had to do with a narrow road, a turning movement, and unfortunately, the driver hit a immovable object.
Okay. Is the vehicle functional? If we need
Oh, yes, it absolutely is. Yep, it's been repaired.
Thank you.
So I'm on that same one. There's a insurance reimbursement coming against the whole amount? Do we know if there's a...
Whatever, I think our deductible is $1,000, so...
So this is a temporary cost for now?
Well, it is a cost, and then you'll show a revenue to offset it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
That's a big one.
And also on page 6, item 405198, near and dear to those of us with bad knees and backs. I know on election day we had a problem with our elevator up and down here. Is this to address that?
Well, this was done, this cost was incurred in February,
Oh, okay.
so this was before that. I do know, speaking with the Buildings and Grounds folks, we have since moved to a different maintenance plan that covers maintenance for a specific, for a fixed fee per month. So we shouldn't be seeing these kind of unexpected costs in the future. But we now will have regular maintenance, and even if we have to call folks out, it will not cost us additional funds.
Yeah, okay. That was
And that's because our elevators, as you know, are aging, and we will be fixing this one next fiscal year in this building because it was included in the budget that was just passed.
So in terms of I know that door, ADA issues were a problem with this building in the past, and with that elevator misfunctioning so often,
Yeah,
that's one of the
it's
concerns with
a
our
real problem. And
accessibility.
that's why we made sure that we had it in the budget for next year. So
Okay, all right. Thank you, that's all for me.
Nancy?
Page 6, 405202, RK Miles, Depot Street Bridge, $1,419.78. Is this work getting done now, or are we buying the supplies in this year's budget for next year?
So actually both. They are already starting to do form work, et cetera. They're getting ready so that they can start as soon as possible on the Depot Street Bridge. You'll see some other expenses in here too for rebar, et cetera, for the curbing that's been purchased.
So do we know the total cost for the bridge?
We do. I don't know it offhand, but that it is budgeted for and will be coming out of the bridge reserve.
And the materials from this year are being added to that?
Yes, so it'll all be, most of it will be coming from the bridge reserve if we don't have the money in the budget to pay for that.
And didn't we get a grant several years ago for Depot Street, and that grant got used on other bridges?
It did. It was transferred to the Mount Anthony Bridge project. Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? Anything on the warrant, anything on the licenses, nothing? Okay. So all those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, thank you very much. Next, we have public comment. I'll remind everyone that public comment is a time for informing the community of events that are not on the agenda. It's not a question and answer period, however, if there are brief questions that we can answer without going into a back and forth, we'll do so at the end of the public comment period. I'll remind everyone to please keep their comments to 3 minutes or less. And first, we have Kate Cost with a CPARB announcement.
Good evening. Is it this? Am I? Yeah, there it is. So Kate Goss, Bennington. I'm here representing CPARB as chair. I want to announce that CPARB is hosting its third Public Safety Education Forum on Thursday, March 26th, from 6 to 8 p.m. in the third floor multipurpose room of the firehouse. This forum, focusing on vulnerable youth, will provide information on the unmet needs of youth, how these impact community safety and crime prevention, effective prevention strategies used to reduce engagement in at-risk activity, and how the community can provide pipelines of support. Panelists will include representatives from agencies that provide direct services and support to young people and their families in Bennington. These include Rachel Burnham, Chief Medical Director at United Counseling Services, Nate Giotti, Case Manager and Youth Programs Director at Center for Restorative Justice, Caitlin Harrington, Youth Development Coordinator at Sunrise Family Resource Center, Kyle Hoover, District Director of Family Services of the Family Services Office at the Vermont Department of Children and Families, Erica Marthage, Vermont State's Attorney, and Tricia Wright, SVSU Family Engagement Specialist. Together, they will inform the public about how we can work together to support our youth and improve public safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, our colleague Sarah Perrin has asked for a moment.
Thank you. So I'm hoping this is something that will benefit the community at large, so that fits under our scope. I wanted to thank the public that came out to vote, and grateful to serve on another term on the board. I also want to mention the vote this time seemed to be a little less, and I'm hoping that in the future people will come out and vote. So if you're disappointed with the turnout of any of the votes, please come out and vote in the future. And before I take my seat, I'm going to take this opportunity to wish my father a happy birthday. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Is there anyone in the audience that did not have the opportunity? Come on up.
Thank you. Ken Millman, Bennington resident. On Saturday, March 21st at 10 o'clock, the Wolloomosac River and Downtown Walk will highlight an individual and an organization in our community. The walk will include a presentation of the Bennington Unsung Hero Award which recognizes individuals who, as volunteers, have quietly gone above and beyond on behalf of our community. The walk will conclude at Turning Point Recovery Center at 601 Main Street to learn about the critical work done by this organization. The Unsung Hero Award for March, I've always wanted to do this.
I like that.
It's Todd Clark.
And you heard it here first.
Todd is an amazing volunteer. He is truly an unsung hero. I cannot list the amount of activities that he does. I'm just going to do a couple highlights right now. In 6 short years in Bennington, Todd has taken on critical roles in housing, weatherization, food insecurity, health, and the arts that have helped make Bennington a caring and nurturing community. Todd is on the board at GBCS, where he's the secretary. He's on the board of the Bennington Theater, where he's treasurer. He's on the steering committee for window dressers, and the list goes on and on. And besides being an unsung hero, he's become my personal hero. So hopefully everyone comes out on the 21st. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Anyone else? Deb?
Deb Matt, Bennington. I'd like to put in a plug for the Bennington Senior Center. We are open 5 days a week. Monday and Wednesday, we're open at 9. We have games, crafts, quilting, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're open for bone builders class in the morning. We have two, one at 8:30 and one at 9:45, and we have room for more people if you're interested in joining. And then on Friday, they have bingo. And we do quilting, play games, different card games and stuff. So if you're looking for a fun time, come and hang out with us. We have coffee and lots of snacks most of the time. And April 25th, we're having a craft sale at the Senior Center, 10 to 2.
Thank you.
Tom, could I follow up on that?
Go ahead, Dan.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Deb and her fellow volunteers who have really put a lot of extra time into the Senior Center, and really appreciate that. That's on top of the efforts of the YMCA. So lots of good stuff for the seniors. So thanks to Deb and Eleanor and all the folks that work with her. So just wanted to make sure folks know that we have a dedicated group of volunteers there doing good work.
Thanks.
Can I actually follow up as well?
Go ahead.
I think it's fantastic, the programming you're putting on. My question is the senior center limited to seniors, or are you interested in visits from younger folks?
I believe 50 is the minimum.
Okay.
Sorry, Jackie.
It's not a bad thing.
All right, thank you. Anyone?
I just think my grandmother's always interested in having me come visit her. So.
All right, anyone else? Okay, great, thank you. So, moving on to the recently added, you should all have copies of the request in front of you. Just got them this evening. I'll run through it real quick for the public. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but basically, Wendy initially reached out to me. I met with her on the porch on a Saturday afternoon at the town office. We brainstormed a few ideas. The goal here is where is it? The International Multiple Myeloma Foundation is running a campaign called Paint the World Red. Wendy Klein-Faller, who is the person requesting this, is trying to get us to participate in that program, and she believes this is the first time they've done this. Essentially, they're asking town offices and such similar structures across the country to illuminate red in recognition of Multiple Myeloma Month. So her request for us, after meeting again a second time with Dan, Paul, and Paul Dansereau, and who else was with us?
Dan Cornell.
Okay.
Yep.
We came up with what we think might be a good plan. So this would take the last week in March. That's March 23rd through 27th. We discussed switching the lamp post in front of the town office to a red bulb, and then putting the Christmas candle lights back in the windows of the town office with red bulbs in them, as well as 2 banners explaining why this is happening on the porch at the town office. And Wendy will be raising all the monies associated with this through private donations, and I'm assuming some money from the National Foundation. So, does anyone have any questions, comments? Would somebody like to make a motion so we can discuss?
I would make the motion that we illuminate the front of the town office building in red in honor of Myeloma Action Month.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
Sure. So I just want to, point for clarification, since it's, red, blue, people are very, sensitive about that. It's the light bulbs in the lamppost and Christmas tree lights. There's nothing specific more that's illuminated.
No. We initially talked about something a little bigger, but this seemed to be more tasteful and inexpensive.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Nancy?
I'd support this. The one question I have, I remember several years ago, the long process when the board was online during COVID about the process people have to follow for putting signs on town property. I just wonder down the road if we're going to be approached by multiple groups in the future. So that's the only concern I can see.
Yeah, and I think that is a possibility, but I think that this is actually an instance of the process working as we designed it. We have a citizen, a resident, that had an idea that they wanted the town's help with. They approached me, although they could have approached any one of us, or Dan, or what have you.
I know,
Then we
and I
brought it through
support
the
it. I'm
process.
just thinking about what we could be, seeing in the future.
No, I understand that. I understand your concern, and I'm not sure it's a horrible thing, but I hear where you're coming from.
Well, it's
It
not
could be
that it's
opening
a
a can
horrible
of
thing, but
worms.
the board went through a very long process to have that policy set up, so it's just something to think about in the future.
Yep. Anything else? Sarah?
Just following up on that, through the process, you are the point person, so we're going through that process exactly how we went through it. Okay, that
Basically.
makes sense.
Consulted with staff, talked money. We won't have to pay any. I'm assuming we can volunteer a couple staff minutes to change the light bulbs.
And we'll hang the
about it.
banner, too.
Okay.
Banners, too.
So just following up on that, this is the procedure that this board put together that's now being followed.
Yep.
Mission accomplished.
Yep.
Tom is the sponsor, staff has reviewed it, and just does not have any concerns about it. It does require select board approval, however, which is why we're here.
Which is why we're here now. Anything from the community? Okay, great. Then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions? Thank you very much, folks. And Dan, you'll do the appropriate follow-up with
Yes,
Wendy?
I'll work with Paul, and we'll make sure this happens.
Excellent. All right, next, we're going to talk art. We have NBOS at the Downtown Riverwalk and Arts Fest. We have Hamad Yassir and Mike McDonough from the Bennington Corporation, and I see a lot of BBC folks in the audience, so. And a wonderful slideshow.
Thank you. Just for you guys. Just chatting. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This presentation should be sweet and quick, and although we've talked about it a couple of times, it's cool, especially for everyone watching this, to reiterate some of the work that the BBC has done in the past couple of years when it comes to public art in Bennington. So as you guys know, Bennington doesn't have a area arts council anymore, and when it comes to this type of public art and kind of championing our region art institutions, I would say that the BBC has been on the forefront of this in a variety of ways. I just want to reiterate super quickly some things that you guys are familiar with that kind of help this presentation in terms of showing you the value of public art. So as you know, like our region has been through a couple of iterations of these things, and they're all coming together beautifully to add more to the beautification of our region. So as you might remember, we have the Moose Fest that happened a while back through the chamber. The street banners, which truly year after year, they're even adding more in value, especially the last iteration of them being a great collaboration between the town, the BBC, and Southwest Tech students, which also included the Bennington Museum for them to do a lot of the research to create the visuals that they created. Our area has a great set of permanent sculptures that do not move, and if you guys don't know my pitch about NBOS as a whole, is that I always mention that the monument is a sculpture too. So we're rich in permanent sculptures as well. In the past couple of years, this development started including the Barn Quilts project, which was great because it's also a really great representation of the BBC and working with the BBC when there was a local artist that came forward with this project project, and now we have around 20 of them installed around the downtown area between 2x2 and 4x4 feet sizes of these barn quilts that carry traditional New England folk patterns. And then we have the NBOS sculptures, kind of called that way, to give credit to NBOS in North Bennington, but there are temporary sculptures that typically get installed in town between June to November. And the North Bennington Sculpture Show has great value regionally. It's the second longest outdoor public show in New England. It's the 7th in the nation. It's the first in South Vermont. And that is kind of a symbology that, yeah, public art can be sustainable and it can continue to grow and develop year after year. And also in the past couple of years, the sites have been adding up. So NBOS, although it's the North Bennington Sculpture Show, is not only tied to North Bennington anymore, and the level of public art that is happening is increasing. And this, again, to give a whole picture value of public art, not only the downtown part. So right now, the sites include downtown Bennington between a mix of commercial and public spaces on Main Street, residential areas, also at the museum, and multiple locations in North Bennington. And this truly to get to the point where we have a really big, solid, free attraction to the town. This is a great reason for a lot of people to stop. We hear a lot of stories about families that relocated to North Bennington because of the sculptures, people taking jobs at Head Start and UCS because they get charmed by the area, and also the value that it counts as one of the things that all the students see before they go to Bennington College. So this has been, the North Bennington show has been consistent and proved its value. Shannon, if you go next, please. In a moment. Be an arrow or up or down.
The tech is just slower than the people. Yes, Shannon didn't find it quicker.
You better fix it or I might improvise.
This is kind of the iteration that happened downtown, and this is kind of the layout last year. And this is where I love working with Michael McD. So we have a beautiful floor plan like this. So basically the focus kind of happened around the Riverwalk area, which Mike will talk more about. But basically this is what happened last year. So as of last year, we were able to install 8 sculptures, and yeah, I mean, you see, we truly had really valuable artists that have contributed to the North Bennington Sculpture Show years after years when it comes to signage, to like making it the art space it is, and like the great collaboration we had by having the Bennington College Sculpture teacher exhibit in the downtown site as well. So this was the layout from last year. Jana. Awesome. The one before. Cool. So McD.
All right. What's this pen?
Oh, it's not ours.
Can't believe I did that. So I was very pleased to see that the meeting was starting on a high, happy note and has continued so far. But as Tom mentioned, I wanted to suggest that we've stacked the house with BBC people. My real reason for saying that is to understand that there are a lot of people at the BBC that make all of these things happen. Like was mentioned previously about another effort, you can't do it without a lot of dedicated people. So I'm going to give as brief a history as I can on the Riverwalk. Long ago, and the Riverwalk now, because I don't think that story gets told that often. Some of us will remember that the Riverwalk was a river encased in weeds and shrubs, and the only reason you could know that there was a river there is that you crossed a bridge on North Street. Otherwise, it was hidden. It was not a resource at all. And our first town manager, Tom Bluto, spurred the effort to create a river walk along the central portion of the river between North Street and School Street. And that process went forward with a lot of funding, federal and state. And it stayed in that stage for a while, but there were continuous extensions that got us to the point where we are now. Those extensions should be highlighted by the fact that, thanks to our current community development director, in large part, that expansion now includes the skate park. And so it is anchored there by the skate park. It doesn't quite have an anchor in the other direction, but it also intersects with the rail trail system. And so all of those things have made the Riverwalk become an important resource. Over time, however, it kind of lost its shine. And tragedy even struck the Riverwalk. And so in 2021, the Better Bennington Corporation Design Committee spearheaded a process by which the town, the BBC, and community stakeholders represented earlier this evening to reassess what the Riverwalk had become and what it could become. And out of that came an analysis that described physical improvements and described new roles for the Riverwalk. And one of those important new roles was bringing art to downtown through the Riverwalk. And so our first knock on the door was to NBOSS. And we got all kinds of enthusiasm with the idea of bringing to the Riverwalk sculpture from NBOSS. And so our first year, as is mentioned there, 2 years ago, we had 5 pieces. Last year, as you mentioned, we graduated to 8. And now we're asking to continue that expansion. And so regarding sculpture, we are asking the board to approve the concept of extending the sculpture site completely along the Riverwalk, beginning to the west at the skate park, through the existing Riverwalk to Park Street on the east. Now, this is a proposal to allow for sculptures to be placed in the broadest sense on the Riverwalk. It is not proposing specific sculptures at this time. In other words, if you were to ask, well, how many are you going to have? I would say we will have as many as we have artists who are interested in being at the Riverwalk and on the sites that we choose along the entire length of the Riverwalk that would be appropriate. And so with your approval, that process will begin. The other component of the sculpture at the Riverwalk, and I should be saying NBOSS at the Riverwalk, is that we would like to extend that period that Ahmed talked about to a full 12-month window for the sculpture. Now, that could even mean that some pieces might stay beyond 12 months. We have a vision to perhaps think that some pieces might become permanent at the Riverwalk. But the logistics of getting them out there for June and July and having the artists, who are not all from Bennington, they come from distance, come back in October and November and take them away. So we put less burden on the artists. We get to take advantage of the artists for a longer period of time, and we will get to a point where there is going to be art and sculpture on the Riverwalk for the full 12 months. And I would even add that, we see it in summer. I think the presence of sculpture on the Riverwalk in winter would be just as engaging. And so that's the first piece of this extension. Now, the second piece, and I'm not following the slide, obviously. Well, thank you very much. The second piece involves Arts Fest. And I want to mention in that regard that I already mentioned the fact that the analysis of the Riverwalk about bringing art to the Riverwalk has grown through the BBC to a new event first year last year called Arts Fest. And it was intended to bring artists and the community together. And in its first year, it was very successful from our point of view. It was a startup. We had a number of artists and organizations that were present, and they were able to engage people of all ages in the arts while we were on site. And so this is going to sound like a big jump, but we've said we don't need to confine ourselves to the Bank of Bennington parking lot, which is essentially where we were last year, and thanks to the Bank of Bennington for allowing us to have that space. But we think there is potential for Arts Fest to grow beyond that siting and become another event that encompasses the entire Riverwalk. And so we are asking for those physical aspects and also for the timing aspect relative to the sculptures. Now, is there anything else that you want to add to that right now? Yes.
So yeah, I feel like Arts Fest as an event last year, think of it as the region's art expo. You never see someone from the Bennington Museum standing next to the theater, standing next to Monument Theater, and they're all there for one event, and they're all actually sharing information about each other and engaging with everyone that is in it. So I feel like as the BBC, this event is not vendor-based. It's not about promoting people from outside of town that come here as vendors. It's a whole different approach to promoting our town by truly promoting it from within. And especially when you have a lot of people with different backgrounds, whether it's class or just different backgrounds in general. Sometimes taking the first step to take a child to the museum might be challenging. Sometimes thinking about a family with multiple people that might be noisy inside a theater, taking them to a show might be challenging. Sometimes it's just a matter of buying tickets or doing anything, whether it's for one of the VAE camps that some kids might hear about at school but not get to experience. So this was a moment where we truly had we didn't even call them institutions, every art house in the region participate. So even the King's Knitwit, that's a creative business. They were there doing spinning wheel demonstrations and knitting with people outside. Same thing when it comes to Dan Turcotte. Dan Turcotte's studio, as you guys see on North Street, his studio is not enough to contain all his art. So having an outlet like ArtFest to bring members from his artist collective that can engage with people was truly powerful. And I feel like, especially now that we finally have pictures on what this event might look like, that promoting it for the coming years is going to be much easier and more impactful also to truly, this will help boost a lot of our area's arts and culture businesses by truly just being there for free in an open setting when it comes to how much exposure a lot of people can gain. So if we go to the next slide, please. So yeah, this is a lot that goes into Arts Fest, but to kind of give you the idea that now our region also has 3 major outdoor opening receptions for public art. So the North Bennington Sculpture Show opening reception is the last Saturday in June. Arts Fest happens on the last Saturday in July, and then the Bennington Museum actually happens on the first Friday in September. So same thing when it comes to seeing how many things happening in town that are actively and regularly promoting public art is a great sign to have, and also the type of programming that is just very community-based and creative. Shannon, if we go next, please. So this is kind of like my grand list of kind of showing you guys pretty much everything that happens in this town to truly pitch the idea of why an all year round exhibition model is helpful. If we look at the happenings that happen in Bennington, they're on event basis. One thing in January, one thing in February, couple of things in May to start the season. And then you see them, how they slow down towards September, October, and November. And as a region, as event producers, as media outlets, these are the main dates. Like, look, we literally end up with 22 annual community events that we can actually call as annual community events. They actually have happened for more than 3 years at a time, and they're actually free and not ticketed. And then, of course, we have over 150 events that happen per year based on our arts and culture institutions like Bennington Theater, Monument Arts Center, and Bennington Museum. And if you guys see that, like, once the museum opens this April, their plan is also to be open all year round. So this is not something that is happening one thing at a time. These are things that we're seeing organically that our region, to honestly better promote for our region, better market for our region, we need things that actually happen all year round to promote them, rather than every time we're trying to promote ourselves to a tourist or a visitor, they need a Google Calendar and a notepad to put down all of the dates that we have. And remember that Mayfest is the last Saturday of May every year. So these are all great things. And obviously, like, I'm a part of either producing or promoting them. And this is what truly makes our area very attractive and very vibrant, is how much there's event production and creative production power behind all of our happenings. But the same way how Bennington Theater are not Old Castle anymore, it's not one theater season, they're open all year round, we're starting to see most of the entities also do this. And this is kind of my pitch to why us saying that Bennington also has all year round public art will just contribute even more to our foot traffic, more to the people that are actually stopping on their way to go ski or go do whatever they want to do around our region. And also, just for everyone that is interested in this information, we recently published 2 pages on this that kind of put the town annual events, one through the Vermont Begins Here website and one through the Better Bennington website for downtown specific events, if you really want to mark all these dates down. And if we go to the next one, again, all of this energy that we're doing is truly what is putting us on the map, putting us out of every single town in the nation. It puts us 85th, which is actually pretty high, and 3rd for small communities. And these are the things that really show our sustainable cultural vitality post-COVID. And again, we're kind of building on a lot of the success that has to do with almost 30 years of public art in North Bennington. It's literally happening 10 minutes away, and we can create a similar vibe to it here. Truly, think about the VAE campus as the Riverwalk. Think about Highland Hall, Park McCullough, the other places that carry these sculptures as the sites that McD is saying we would love to expand to. And then think about my pitch that we need more things to be able to promote all year round. And then, of course, McD talked about it a little bit, but also think about it from an overhead sense. Helping an artist install and deinstall twice a year versus once a year. Thinking about all of the artists that we attract from way outside our area that they requested this. Like, hey, we love Bennington, but we truly cannot make the trip twice a year to install, deinstall, and then come back. So the NBOSS season is going to continue. It's still an option. This is not a full change that all public sculptures are going to be, because it's not possible. Some people create materials that can only sustain from June to November. So these are two options. Artists still have the options of whether they want to exhibit for half the year or the full year. But yeah, we're looking into downtown possibly being a site where all year round installation is possible. And if you have any questions, that would be a perfect time for us. And while you're asking questions, I thought it would be a good time to put the calendar of all of the upcoming BBC events. If you would like to volunteer, please visit our website.
That was Shannon's idea, and it was a good idea. I just want to say, everything that he said, I'm with. I'm good. But I did want to mention that he's not on the calendar, but he could be, right? With, his ability to present. So I don't think we have anything more ourselves. And so we turn it over to you for questions, comments, and action.
Okay.
Thank you. One more now.
Told you.
Yeah,
One more?
So I just want to let you guys know, like, a big part of like our backend and a lot of the sculpture related work is, of course, thinking about the safety aspect of it all. Everything related to the insurance liability and dealing with the artists and all that is something that the North Bennington Sculpture Show has truly been doing for almost 30 years now, with 0 incidents in North Bennington. And same thing, this is going to be the 3rd year of doing this in downtown, and same thing, nothing happened at all. And I feel like we take all of the required steps on our end to make sure that everything from install to exhibiting to deinstall is happening safely. And this is honestly a big part of the responsibility itself and the admin that goes in the back end, because what we talked about does not include that this has a curatorial network between the BBC, the museum, and the Vermont Arts Exchange when it comes to representatives from each site, vetting each sculpture and each artist and each piece, how it's getting installed, how it's getting put. So I just wanna say this layer that this is not the downtown organization doing it together. It's the downtown organization doing it with NBOSS that have done this for 30 years.
Okay, that was a lot.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, it was great. Questions from the board. I'll start to my right. Nancy.
I appreciate the time and work the BBC and others have put into this. I'm reading that the sculpture pads are made from waste concrete from town projects, and town buildings and grounds people do installation support. Has it worked this way in North Bennington? Has their highway department been the ones doing the install over the years?
I can't speak to North Bennington, and you can, but from the first year, Buildings and Grounds offered to assist us in 2 principal ways. One was to create concrete pads with waste concrete from other projects and to place them, and also provide assistance in the installation of large pieces. And so they have played that role for the past 2 years, and I think in some of the material I had indicated that we hope that we will be able to maintain that relationship.
Yeah. So I'm going to say very similar to North Bennington. For the past 30 years, it's been trying to figure out the logistics around this. And it doesn't end up being like, hey, you're getting assistance from the town staff, so let us know when you're going to show up, and magic helpers are going to show up from behind the Riverwalk. We are very specific with them about the install times, how much time they can take, and also the way how the world is moving, and art world is moving, is that year after year, sculptures are going down in scale, and people are asking for less help. So if we want to quantify it a little bit, so even if it's the 8 sculptures on the Riverwalk that were installed last year, the maximum period each person can get is an hour. That's up to 8 hours per year on installing this, and not even half of them asked for help. So just to kind of actually turn it from an application to conceptualize it to work actually happening on the ground, and to also give you guys the credit and the town staff, is that you guys now seem as the Riverwalk site is the newest site, yet right now it's kind of the inspiration on how other sites should be. So Bennington College are looking into a very similar concrete pad situation for the space at the townhouse in North Bennington, because they saw that the town did this and their lawnmowers were complaining in North Bennington about mowing around the sculptures. So what I'm trying to say is that honestly, out of all of the sites right now, the Riverwalk is kind of standing out as how are we able to establish such a great partnership and such great operations in a very short period of time.
It's helpful that you're saying it's maybe an hour per sculpture. I had no idea what time. Yeah. I consider the people in Bennington community stakeholders, and I would be interested at the next meeting seeing if we had anyone, especially parents at Bennell, maybe people working at Bennell, concerned that we would be adding things to the pathway right next to the playground.
I mean, yeah, that's worth a conversation, and I want to continue to, I guess, elaborating more about some of the things that I presented on in the past about this collaboration. So, they're not necessarily written down on paper, because they really don't have to be, which are how do artists get picked per site? And this is where I repeat that there are so many layers into this. So at the Bennington Museum, it is specific, simply, they have it as a simple rule. We are not letting heavy machinery drive on our lawn. Therefore, we can only take smaller pieces that don't require heavy machinery. So for me, when I get an application of 200 people, I'm like, okay, these are the 20 for the museum that don't require any machinery. They're happy, I'm happy. We created limitations around each site to make everyone happy. So right from the beginning, before any partnership even happened, the NBOSS and the BBC meeting to figure this out included the BBC, given the type of entity it is and the intention behind being a part of this project, is to, with all peace and love, we don't want pieces that are political. They can be in North Bennington. We don't want pieces that could be decisive in any way. They can be at any other site. The BBC as an organization, when it comes to this project, it's about downtown beautification. And that is what the focus is on. So the artists that get picked for this site, and again, with all peace and love to all artists and all sites and everyone, do tend to be the senior artists. Like, people are graduating from North Bennington, they do their masters at the museum, and then they graduate into the Riverwalk. So it always ends up actually being, organically, the most expensive sculptures done by the most professional artists, regardless of hierarchy around what a professional artist is, but they are the ones that have the most years in handling their sculptures, knowing their sculptures, how to install them, and how to be a part of a show like this. So what I'm getting to is that eventually this is all sensitive, because art is objective, but each site, each organization is fully approaching it mindfully, because the whole point of it is making people happy. If it's something that is slightly political or might require a little bit of critical thinking around how to think about a sculpture, that's perfect for the museum. That's their audience. something that is a little quirky and made with weird materials, that's for us, that's for North Bennington. So no, truly, like that's what happens on the back end to let you know that eventually it's a presentation with each sculpture going through each one and a site representative. And then if someone doesn't want it, someone else is going to take it to make sure that the democratic view of exhibiting art is still happening.
I think we're missing the point. I didn't make myself clear. My concern, are we going to have parents or anyone at Bennell or maybe citizens in general concerned adding something to the river walkway right next to the playground? When the elementary kids are outside during the day for recess and gym, are people going to be concerned giving more people a reason to be right on the other side of the fence from the playground? That's what I'm interested in hearing, if there are concerns from the public.
Nancy, that's a valid question. And in our time frame for seeking this approval, it was not time for us to make those reach outs, the one you suggested in particular at Bennell, until we knew that we were going to be doing it. But I think that we can have that kind of conversation and have a productive outcome from it. So I thank you for the suggestion.
And last, as much as I love art, we have a lot of history in this town, and I don't think we really scratched the surface to promote it. So I hope going forward, we're going to put a little more, maybe, effort into promoting the history that we have in Bennington.
Absolutely, but I feel like that's someone else's job. like genuinely, I feel like there might be another organization that is interested in more history-oriented stuff. At least through the street banner project, we showed a great example of history matching graphic design students and coming up with thoughtful work that is made out of research from getting exposure to the Bennington Museum Collections Department. They did a whole curriculum on the street banner project. So yeah, I don't have any more to say.
I might mention that your HPC is in the process, which has begun, to establish our next historic National Register Historic District in downtown Bennington, and that is Pleasant Street. We've hired consultants, and that process is beginning, which will lead to a presentation before the State Historic Preservation Commission, and ultimately on to the Secretary of the Interior for approval of that very significant area as a National Register district. That's one example of how we can promote Bennington in that regard. I think there are a lot of other things that we can do as well, and it is in our mindset to do that, Nancy.
Just one last note on this, that history is great, but at the same time, locally, we don't have any contemporary art galleries. And there is a demand for contemporary art galleries. When we have North Adams 20 minutes away from us, it would be cool to have a couple of contemporary art galleries. What right now we're down to Dan Turcotte or Jay's or the Coffee Bar. We need to count those as contemporary art galleries if we want to say that we have contemporary art galleries. We have the Bennington Museum, which is valuable and great, but then this is the instant of truly infusing some contemporary art while so much other history and things are happening in the region. So just given its nature, it's contemporary art. Yeah.
It's community development, right, Shannon? Yes.
Cool. Thank you all for your time.
We're not done yet.
Oh, sorry.
Only one person has had a chance to ask questions. Sarah, do you have anything?
Sure. I love this. I think it's a great idea. I'm just thinking, if I were an artist, would I want to have my piece there for 2 months and then pick it up and leave, or would I want to have it there for 6 or 12? So I think this is fantastic. Thanks for the presentation. Do you see anything that might be negative to that? I don't, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts is that I would honestly love if downtown becomes the one site that is fully all year round, but this is not going to start from the beginning, because my only concern is that if we do both of these expansions, space and time, that, yeah, we are going to have, like, if we start the summer with 20 and then November comes, only half of them want to install for the remainder of the year. So yeah, it's going to be 10 and not 20, so it might seem less. And it really depends on how the landscape and the environment is going to interact with it based on the sites that they're in. So I mean, my only concern is that, like, yeah, in the first year, in the first couple of iterations of this, sometimes during the winter, it might look a little empty. But that's why I feel like it would be great if artists have the option for a half year and a full year in North Bennington and the museum. But if the downtown has actually just one option and not both options, that's how I would like to approach it. But this is also like a moment of transition, again, because for 29 years, the application told people, does your sculpture last from June to November? And that's it. So right now, the two options of it all is just raising some uncertainty, but just because it's the first year of introducing this.
So you're kind of seeing this as building up momentum. In
Correct.
A few years, it'll be there.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, that's great.
Thank you, Sarah.
To my left, Jim.
Thanks, Tom. Just a comment to say thank you, and I appreciate your note that, you know, one of the things that you're accomplishing here is adding some permanence to an event in town, because I think all of BBC's events and all of Bennington's events are great and very important, but ultimately, we really want to get to the point, and I think we're doing a good job at it, getting to the place where, you know, the event is Bennington, and Bennington is a destination, and people would just say, hey, I want to go to Bennington because there's always something to see or do in Bennington. So, you know, public art and the museums and historical sites and outdoor recreation, and, you know, the whole package, and your addition to the package is, I think, valuable and much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Hi, thank you. I used to live over on Park Street. I lived there for a long time, and I remember when that whole Riverwalk was a little scary to walk down, you know, and it's been just really, really remarkable to see that whole pathway just transformed over the past several years. And I know a lot of organizations in town have had something to do with that, but certainly the art has brought a vibrancy and a cheer to the area that I really love. Over on the part by the middle school there, the elementary school, sorry, there is a little plaque. I forget exactly what it is in memory of, but I've always...
Dates the founding of Bennell.
Yeah.
The Bennington Elementary School.
And it looks a little...
And it was
like
part
it
of the building that was torn down for the current Bennell.
Mm-hmm. And that plaque looks like it could have been maintained a little better. So I certainly would appreciate any ideas as you look at that space, you know, ways to preserve that piece of history would be fantastic. You said last year you had 8 sculptures there. I remember them, they were fantastic. Are they all still along that pathway?
No. So last year is still in the June to November terms.
Okay.
I mean, that's actually another thing in our favor.
Because there's
of
some
our
statues
pitch
still there
today.
now.
Yes. So in the past couple of years, we just had a couple of instances where truly the artists just couldn't come and pick it up, and they asked for the extension. So truly, I mean, our presentation is just coming directly from feedback from the artists, where like one of them was fully like, hey, you guys, I truly cannot, like, I'm incapable of doing this trip to pick up my sculpture in November. I am putting a sculpture for next year, so can I just pick pick up my Riverwalk sculpture when I'm installing my sculpture next year. That was one instance, and then a second instance was actually John Emflet, the sculpture faculty at Bennington College. And to be fair, like his sculpture just like takes up the size. You can really see it from any side of the street, that having it there was pretty valuable to have for another year. So for now, approval on a sculpture staying for more than the original period has been on like by just artist basis. Yeah.
That's great. I've loved actually seeing them there year-round, so I would love to see that continue. You said you're looking to add additional sculptures. Do you have a sense of how many you'd be looking at in 2026?
Yeah, so that's truly like up in the air based on a lot of things that are related to logistics, which is truly how fast all of us are going to work together, really, to start like putting down the new places and all this. It also depends on how many applications I get. It depends on a lot of factors, but we would love to think that 8 is the minimum for this year to continue building on the work from the previous couple of years.
Great. And then last question I had, you mentioned here the expansion would enhance public access along the full pathway. Do you just mean access to the arts, or are we talking infrastructure changes?
I would suggest it provides more reason for people to use the entire pathway. And they will be drawn to the perhaps less walked sections by the enhancement with the sculpture.
Yeah, great. And I want to speak about something that happens from this organically, is that if you look at it, every site actually has a school near it. And if we look at the past 30 years in the village, let's look into how much the sculpture show is actually included in the curriculums for Southshire Community School. They do regular school trips over there, the village school, and the other camps that happen in the region over there. Same thing at the museum. They had a school near them, and they're literally ripping off their parking lot so they can build their own mini school over there. So that's, again, like the closer to schools, the better, because it's direct access to touching, seeing, and looking at art.
Fantastic, gentlemen. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Clark.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It's really good stuff. I travel around the country a lot, go to a lot of small towns, and I see a lot of these towns have these arts displays and all, but the one thing that I don't see here that, I know there's at least one, but I think maybe something to consider is murals. I was passing through a town in Missouri, and they're known as the town of murals, so of course I had to stop and look. And for about 2 miles on both of the two main streets, there are these beautiful murals that represent history, as Nancy's interested in, and regional culture, and then interspaced are, in fact, art features. So, your proposal here is great, and like anything, it can be improved, but maybe that's something we down the road might want to consider, is maybe adding murals on some of the buildings around here as part of our community development, enhancing the aesthetics of our town.
No, enough said.
Yeah, I mean, I think murals are great, but again, this is kind of happening under the umbrella of the sculpture show, and same thing, like that online application year after year. Yes, I get a lot of submissions that are like, this is mural or this is 2D, but it's really, it could be like a part of the expansion for way later. I truly just took over this thing and I digitized all of its work. Sure. They've told me previous iterations that they didn't think were as successful. For example, when the Left Bank in North Bennington donated space to have like an indoor 2D gallery, and they truly thought that both of these things happening together didn't really complement the show. It ended up taking away from the show. I mean, same thing when it comes to conversations about how the village and just the train station itself, since it's not really open all year round, so you can't really put anything in it. And if anything were to be exhibited in it, it only needs to be there for the one day of the event. So everything related to 2D has been challenging to the previous leadership in the North Bennington Sculpture Show. I feel like in downtown, I mean, we have places like the ECDC that are starting to work on mural-oriented projects, but I feel like Yep, this entity as of now is only focusing on the 3D sculpture side of art.
No, I understand.
Thank
I
you.
was thinking more along the lines of bridges, as
Yes.
Jim mentioned. Somebody could come down here and see this wonderful mural, and next thing you know, they bring their friends from out of town, maybe, then they say, oh man, they sculpture here too. Not that, as they say, one monkey doesn't make a show, but we need to get an awful lot of options available.
Thank you, Clark.
Ed?
You guys have worked hard on this, and I really want to congratulate you. And you said just at the end there something about digitizing and how important that was. So my comment is not a question because we're not going to answer it tonight, but I would be very interested in knowing and seeing the annual plan to promote. This thing is going to need a source of energy every year for its own growth. And also I heard some comments from the board about how long will things stay. That leads to the condition of things when they are left out and who's responsible for that. I will tell you that Moose Fest that you referenced was 21 years ago, and we are still feeling the benefit from that. In some places, we had to, shovel and sweep some stuff off the streets because it just got dilapidated. So part of this plan, I think, has to include what's that source of energy and promotion every year. While you're here and heading this up, I see it working. While Mike is here, I see it working. What happens 10 years from now when there might be a different cast of characters? And if you're interested in staying, I'm not kicking you out. So that is a very important piece of this for me, because year one is always terrific. And an example of that, guys, is Moose Fest was huge. Too soon we went out with Palette Fest or whatever that other thing was, and it did not get the attention because people were burned out. And things were a little bit dilapidated. I'm just very serious about that.
I really appreciate this, and you're going to get like a little bit of like the way back of my brain. So this is going to get designed as I'm actually.
I didn't do it on purpose.
So I'm sure, like I'm working on this year, which is the 29th, but what I'm actually working on is the 30th. What I'm actually working on is going off with this with like a big splash once this thing turns 30. And once this thing turns 30 is actually when I'm done with what we're doing now. When I'm done going site by site, entity by entity, and getting approval on the plans of expansion. So by the 30th anniversary, you're already promoting the 30th as 30th, and you already have some all year round exhibitions on site from this year.
Sure.
And then building on that. And the way how I'm already building on it is truly just through local partnerships, working with Southwest Tech, working with Cat TV, working with a lot of the people that are in this region to see how this thing can be as sustainable, like starting with truly like sign up to be a Bennington College employer, so you get a winter and a summer intern, which is truly when the high season of work happens for this thing. Open the application, start putting the work out. So yes, it is, this entire year is for developing it for the 30th to have a better program approach and team to promote this all year round.
I think that's an important part of it. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
I want to expand this conversation. Yeah, I do. The BBC is undergoing a reorganization right now. And in response to Ed's comments, one of those reorganization components has been having Ahmed take over our marketing and promotions. I think we're in pretty good hands. And I think that the work he's done on this tonight suggests that. I also want to say that we have a very active and committed design committee meeting, a downtown design committee. And Cinda is here from the committee, and Ahmed is also on that committee. And we work very hard to bring forth the qualities of the BBC to our environment downtown. And so I think the BBC deserves that plug, and I'm happy to give it. Thank you.
Sarah?
Do you mind if I say something?
I'll get to the public. Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that my colleague on the board, I think that was a great comment about the murals, and if anybody's interested in talking about murals, there were organizations, the Bike Hub, that did a mural. So, if anybody is interested in talking about murals on the board,
And that
there
got a
are
lot of
organizations.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there are organizations that might be interested in addressing murals, so I'd be interested in meeting and talking about that as well.
If I may, we have been, the BBC Design Committee has been talking to muralists and to other organizations within the community. Our goal is to get a handle on a mural program. Right now, it is ad hoc, and there's nothing particularly wrong with that, but we would like to see a way in which the town, through the Better Bennington Corporation, can jumpstart a broader component of mural building within our community.
Anything else from the board? Anything from the public? Susan, I'll work my way around.
Susan Plaisance, Bennington, but I'm here, I am on the board at the BBC, and I wanted to assure the community and the select board that we are so lucky at the BBC to have Mike McDonough. You will never see anything that doesn't fit the town model. I mean, if you've ever done any work with him on the Historical Preservation Committee, he's not going to let anything tacky happen downtown. We are so lucky to have his brain working for us. That's thing one. Thing two, he did mention that the design committee is very active. It's not the only committee that they are. They are one of our most active committees. But we do have other committees too, and we are just recently formed. We work under the four-pillar approach, but we just formed another one, and we welcome anybody who wants to help us. It's the event committee, and it's a fun committee. But again, I'm going to jump on what Ahmed said. If you want to volunteer, please visit our website. We can use all the hands we can get. This is a small board of 11 who puts on all those events every year with a staff of 1. So, thank you. That's my time.
Deb, then Ken.
Deb Bennington. I was wondering if any of these artists have been approached for somebody to buy their work or to commission them to make them something.
Yes. Yes, they have, on a regular basis.
Most of the pieces have a price tag on them.
Yeah, actually.
So that sort of hints.
Actually, thank you, Deb, because not a lot of people look at the prices. The prices are on the website. Any local business, entity, nonprofit looking to make a charitable donation to obtain a sculpture to be in front of their spaces, they're available online. They change every year. Thank you.
Ken, go ahead.
Ken Millman, Bennington. I'm on the board of the Riverwalk Committee. If you want to go see the art, on the 21st, we're having the Riverwalk at 10 o'clock. Please come look at the art. But no, the art has been a highlight of the walk since it's been there, the sculpture show. It's only been a positive. We expanding it would, the Riverwalk Committee would be behind expanding the art show. Thank you.
So, third for small communities sounds like we could probably do better. Who do we need to beat? All right. It sounded, Michael, while you were talking, that you might be looking for a motion of some sort from us, or are you just looking for consensus? What are you looking for?
That was a joke.
There were a lot of words in there. But it sounded like you were looking for permission, maybe to start working with staff on expanding the physical aspects. I assume you're talking about the pads and so forth, and to expand up further along the Riverwalk from the skate park to Park Street.
Yes.
Is that
for
what I got?
The sculpture, the embossed sculpture, and for Arts Fest.
Okay. I think we can handle that in one. Would somebody like to make that motion?
Oh, yes, yes.
I'll
Sorry,
make the
Tom, one
motion to
more.
proceed.
One more?
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of it for you guys to, it's a formality thing, for you guys to approve on the June to June exhibition period.
Oh, okay.
Although it randomly happened in the past couple of years, but we still need a formal vote from you guys.
I'll make that motion to proceed with the Better Bennington Corporation's design.
Will that do it, Dan? Would you like to be more specific?
Yeah, we can just say that a motion to approve the plan to expand the sculpture show both physically and temporarily. How about that? As proposed.
Arts Fest.
As proposed.
Arts Fest.
And Arts Fest, yeah.
And the 12-year extension.
Yep.
Those would be the three.
12-month extension.
12 months.
It's going to be 12 years.
I love your optimism.
No idea what we're going to accomplish, but yes, the 12-month extension.
Okay, so any discussion specific to the motion? Nancy?
I would ask that the board table the vote in regards to the sculptures going next to Ben L. from Park Street to School Street until the next meeting. I think we owe it to people to hear if they do have concerns. As it is, I think the kids already have to stay a certain number of feet away from the fence because of the pathway.
I'd like
The playground was there about 30.
for the second motion for discussion.
I'm sorry?
Second motion for discussion. I don't think we have a second yet. Yeah.
I thought we're voting.
A motion to
everything in
table
one.
goes,
Yeah.
is in order if somebody...
Aren't we covering everything with one motion?
Sorry, semantics, yeah. Just
I could vote on all that except the section
Oh,
by
do we
Ben
not have,
L.
we do,
I'll second
It's
it
just
so that we can
process.
discuss it.
Yeah.
okay.
Sarah's motion. yeah.
Okay, so we have a second on Sarah's motion. Do we have
I got stuck in process.
a second on Nancy's motion to table?
We did have a citizen in last year concerned that a person was up next to the fence trying to hand a child something. And I just want to give the public a chance to speak.
I think we can probably do both things because we are still in the formative period here with your guys' plans. So if folks do have concerns, maybe we could just put a link up so they can inform us. And I will remind the public that anytime they would need to reach the select board, they can hit the contact the select board link, and we do get your comments weekly. So with that in mind, does anyone care to second that motion?
I just have a point of clarification. I was under the impression that the gentleman said in order to move forward and approach the faculty and the families who are the schools that they need to know that it is going to move forward and put it on hold. They're not able to approach the school people and address their concerns. Do they misunderstand what you're supposed to say?
Yeah, I think that would be a realistic approach for us, because to put it in crude terms, we'd be selling something that we don't own.
Right, I thought we had to move forward so they could approach the appropriate people. And I got the impression they would respond appropriately to those concerns.
So could an amended motion be that we would approve it with the understanding that this group is going to talk to the Ben L. public?
I want the citizens to have a chance to come talk at the next meeting if they have concerns.
Okay. I don't think it needs that, but
The playground was there 30 years before the rock walkway was. And I know there are a lot of pathways around schools. This is the only pathway I know that runs right next to an elementary school playground where a fence separates it, that's it.
The art is not changing where the pathway is, and I'm having a hard time on understanding your concern because the art is displayed in public. Signage was created to know who the contact entity is. For the past 2 years, there has been zero reported anything related to sculptures at the Riverwalk. So I'm not fully understanding what your concern is. And elementary school students, families, everyone have the BBC contact. There's signage on who's responsible for the sculpture. We received zero bad feedback on it.
I want to know if there's concerns by members of the public by doing something on that section that would draw people there to have an excuse, oh, I'm just hanging out and looking at the sculptures. Again, you have very little children outside there for recess, gym, and everything else. I just want to see if we have parents or anybody else who will come forward with concerns.
And like I said, they had the past 2 years to give their concerns, and we heard none of it.
We had a parent in here last year speaking publicly.
I'm sorry, point of order.
I understand your, yeah. I've heard your argument. I've not heard a second to your motion to table. So beyond that, there's nothing more to discuss there as far as I'm concerned. Did you have something?
Yeah.
Jim?
No,
You were waving at me.
I'll make a comment, since the comments are on the first motion and related to Nancy's concern, though. And I appreciate the good work that the BBC does and their design committee, and I am entirely confident that they're going to reach out appropriately to adjacent property owners and will flag any concerns and respond accordingly. I mean, I certainly have confidence in your organization, so I have no problem going forward with the motion. Thank you.
Sarah, did you have something? I saw you too.
I did. My question was answered. I was going to ask if had any concerns in North Bennington with any things that were a little more politically motivated or a little more, and you mentioned that you did not.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually the opposite. Like, North Bennington is the spot for it. That's where we had sculptures truly made in response to a lot of things, from school shootings to places happening nationally and outside the country, a sculpture on banned books. That's what truly North Bennington has been all about. And no, like, as far as I know, I have never received anything from the village trustees or any representative of a school or any educational institution over there. Yet it's the opposite. They encourage it. They make school trips. They always email me if schools can stop by, if anyone can show them around. It's honestly like one of the things that for us makes it the valuable thing, is knowing how many students can go touch these things and draw drawings based on the sculptures, talk about them, get inspired by them. Every camp that happens in North Bennington, can you imagine taking a group of kids to like a 3-4 hour walk? Best programming ever for a camp counselor. And yeah.
Anything else? Bring the public up, please.
Keith Carey, Better Bennington Corporation president right now. Nancy, is your concern that there'll be more traffic on the path with the idea of the walkway and things like that?
My concern is by adding things that haven't been there. Will it draw people there? I don't want to do anything to put the little kids at risk. Like I said, I think it's unfair. They have to stay a certain number of feet back from the fence now, I believe, because of the walkway.
Okay, I think this art exhibit and the adding of art is going to add more people to that walkway and more public exposure, which will prevent those individuals or those concerns, because you'll have more people there looking and see something, say something. It's going to be more safe, I think, because you'll have more exposure from the public and other people on the walkway that are there specifically to see the art, there to enjoy that. There's going to be more, it's going to be brought more to light if someone's doing something inappropriate toward the children. So I think this art exhibit is going to be a fantastic addition and make it more safe for that walkway. You'll have less people being able to hide on the walkway doing things and exposure to negativity. I mean,
I think it's disappointing.
Well, I agree with the comment that you just made, Tom. I would have to say that we haven't had a second to the motion, so I think our discussion is getting a little far-ranging on a motion that hasn't been seconded.
Good point.
Is there anything else from the public?
Keith, thank you.
All right. So all in favor, we do need to vote on the motion. All in favor of the motion expanding the physical aspects, working with town staff on those, expanding the Art Fest along the entirety of the Riverwalk, and expanding the time period the sculptures may be displayed from June to June. Did I hit everything?
That'll work.
Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? If one opposed, any abstentions? All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
That was a good presentation. All right, next. Review of updated conflict of interest and public property sign policies.
This is by way of introduction. You will recall the board asked the staff to bring to you folks by the end of March every year updates to policies that are in place at least once every 3 years. So in other words, a policy would not go unreviewed for any longer than 3 years. So these are the only 2 policies that are up for review this year. And David Conwell, our new planning director, is here to present the changes that he's proposing to our conflict of interest policy.
Good evening. Thanks. Dan stole my introduction, so I'll get right into it, which is, back in 2024, the legislature changed the law around municipal ethics, and they deleted the segment of the law that the board had used to draft its original conflict of interest policy and built a new statutory policy. It left room for boards to have their own conflict of interest policy, provided it was essentially the same or narrower than what state law already provided. I took the liberty of blending the two together, also changed the language to reflect new trends in language, and I'll note the way the state statute is written. I can answer specific questions on it, but I don't figure you probably want an actual line-by-line review of each change. Yeah.
I was going to ask that we did go through section by section, and I was hoping it was going to be up on the board so the public and people at home could follow along.
Nancy, there's no substantive changes to this policy, which is why we didn't think we needed to do a detailed review.
I did provide the board with both the original policy as well as the amended policy and the specific state statute from which the changes are made.
And the policy we're looking at was created when? 2020?
Let's see, the original, it was last updated in 2020. We've had a conflict of interest policy for as long as I can remember.
Well, I would question one of the footnotes that shows up on that policy and the updated one. And I really wish we'd get documents with pages where it talks about certain appointed officials, such as zoning administrator and a town manager, may only be removed for cause and after being afforded with procedural due process. Well, our town charter says that the select board does not need cause. So I don't understand why that would have been in the policy for the past 6 years.
I can't speak to that because it was in the existing policy. I'm sorry.
And our town charter today says the select board does not need cause to remove a town manager, so I question why it's in this policy.
Again, I wasn't present when the town charter was adopted, so I can't answer that.
You know, we can certainly strike that when it comes, as far as it goes to the town manager. But that has been in there for several years.
Well, but that's why I wonder who worked on it in 2020. I mean,
well, I imagine it was probably there even before 2020.
And I don't understand this whole section under Article 10, enforcement. All the different steps a board can go through till it gets to the point that they can request another select board member to resign. It doesn't mean anything. Well, the voters elect the people to the board. I remember, I think it was 2 charter committees ago, they talked about maybe putting in something if a board member missed a certain number of meetings, they could be off the board. And I think council said, nope, the voters elect the select board, they'll decide who's there. So I don't really see a sense in all of this Article 10.
I think the same thing exists at the legislative level. In Vermont, at least something similar. If a situation does arise where one of us does something that is in violation of this policy, we certainly can, I think, and should publicly acknowledge it. And if it rises to the level that we think that that board member should be removed, we can ask them to resign. But you're absolutely right. Beyond that, the only recourse is petition by the voters to recall or to wait till the next election. But you're absolutely correct. But I also think that there is value into the board being able to say to their colleague, you behaved inappropriately, and we think you should. The right thing to do is to resign. I would hope that nothing would ever come to that point, but that doesn't mean that the clause shouldn't be there, in my view.
Another concern when it comes to conflict of interest. An official could do something where they and their family may not benefit financially, but you could have a couple of officials that could certainly do something to benefit a group or organization that would impact the local taxpayers. But that isn't covered in a conflict of interest policy.
That would, I think, be a matter for the electorate and not capable of being covered under the scope of this policy, no.
And another concern I've raised, and I ran into somebody who'd been on the board about 30 years ago. He'd brought up the same thing he told me. The Bennington Select Board has no say in Old Bennington or North Bennington. I don't understand how people don't see it's a conflict when somebody appointed to the Board of Directors in Old Bennington or North Bennington is on the Bennington Select Board at the same time. Board of Trustees, I'm saying the wrong word.
Nancy's talking about me. I'm on both boards.
But it could be anybody.
It was vetted by VLCT that there is no conflict of interest.
This is a good point. There does exist an advisory mechanism in the Vermont League of Cities and Towns for this type of question when it does arise. The state was briefly offering a similar advisory service to municipalities, but it's run out of funding, is not currently available.
Well, I don't know if the Vermont League of Cities and Towns is aware. The Bennington Select Board has no say in either village. Our voters have
Nancy,
no say.
you're saying things that are not true, so I don't want to belabor the issue.
Oh, am I?
North Bennington and Old Bennington have their ordinances and bylaws.
Yep.
Their boards, whether it's a board of trustees or a select board, have the responsibility to adhere to those. Those only affect the village that they're written for. My role here has nothing to do with my role there. And you keep saying
Could I just
things
ask
every
my
time it
colleague
comes up that
to
are not true.
our planning director answer the question? We also have somebody that's from North Bennington that could also be on a committee there.
Sarah, I didn't hear you.
Could we let our planning director answer the question? We also have
Well,
somebody
I thought he
that's
said
from
he
North
couldn't
Bennington.
because
But I think it's also important to note here that North Bennington and Old Bennington also vote for this board.
Thank you.
And they are covered under some aspects of town
Can Bennington voters have a say who's appointed to the Board of Trustees in Old Bennington and North Bennington?
You're talking about situations that have been set up a very long time ago
I'm
and have
just
been
saying,
working for quite some
You
time.
have one person responsible for two different groups of people. At the end of the day, who is that person going to put first? I would think it'd be the people in their own village.
I would think that that person would behave ethically and do everything at that meeting. When Ed is here, he is going to vote properly in his view for the whole of Bennington. When he's in Old Bennington, he'll vote properly for the people of Old Bennington. And I think he's bright enough to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think the voters thought so too. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on a board anymore in North Bennington, but I am a resident of North Bennington, but I would point out that I'm also a resident of Bennington, and I feel just as much a resident of Bennington as I do of North Bennington. And the fact that you live in the village within the town of Bennington, I do not believe causes any conflict of interest or any preferential or inference of preferential treatment. I think that the conflict of interest policy that has been updated to reflect current statute and current statutory language is clear and consistent with state law, and I think that we should proceed to move forward.
Thanks, Jim. Anything else down the table? I'm sorry, Clark.
To backtrack, the one thing I was hoping that we could pass on to the public, and Nancy's concern was, is this document available online or for the public to be able to review what we're discussing here, so if they
Absolutely.
didn't see it available?
Yep. All policies are available online, and when this one is adopted, it will replace the old one, and in the packet for tonight's meeting, all this information is included. There is no substantive change. I'll just reiterate that. This is simply an update to comply with current regulations and law. There is no substantive change to what is a conflict and what isn't.
All right, I just want to make sure the public understood that if they have concerns about what we're discussing, it is available for those people who would like to read these documents themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also remind the board that this is a policy, so if 2 weeks from now you guys decide there's something that needs to change, you can vote to change it. This is not set in stone. It's a policy that can be changed if there are issues discovered in the future. But again, this is not a substantive change to what's been in place for several years.
Jackie?
Thanks. Just in reference to the footnote number 3 about town manager and removal without cause and all of that, my understanding is that a footnote like that is not part of the policy itself. It's just commentary, but it doesn't change sort of the recusal of appointed officers, section B here. Is that right?
There are specific state laws with regard to the behavior of officers, and in fact, we're required to take annual ethics training on that point, and that footnote aligns with that. As far as the legal effect of a footnote in a town policy, I have to confess ignorance on that point of the law.
Okay. No, but that's helpful. That just explains existing state law and the fact that our charter is more specific in this certain area means that document would prevail in a decision. And so this footnote doesn't erase what's in our charter.
And that being said, it's easy enough to strike that just to make sure it's consistent with our charter. Strike that town manager reference.
At the beginning, did you say you mixed some of the conflict of interest policy with the, what's the other policy went into law a year ago?
The state passed a law in June of 2024 that set the municipal conflict of interest standards across the board for the entire state of Vermont. Municipalities within the state of Vermont can craft an even narrower policy with which to bind their members, but they don't have to. Bennington has, they already had in the past. What I did was update Bennington's already more restrictive policy with the language and the reference to state law in it, so that if there's a question, reference to our policy will both clarify what the town policy is and the larger state law. Also, it clarifies that to the extent there is conflict with state law has to prevail because that is simply how the law works. A municipality can't overrule the state. It is, in fact, a creature of the state.
Except for in the charter.
I'm sorry?
Except for in the charter.
Well, the charter had to be approved by the state, so it is effectively state law as well.
Yeah.
How would
Good point.
How would an employment contract work into this?
Well, this would be, that unemployment contract might be a prime example of a potential conflict of interest, assuming it qualifies under the steps that are outlined in here as for analyzing one, the relationship involved, the interest that one would be supporting with the power within the municipality.
I'm not sure that answers my question. I gotta.
Could you rephrase that?
I'm not sure, David, I'm not sure that you understood his question or that Ed understood your answer, so maybe Ed should rephrase it and we could try to address it.
I'm certainly willing to take another try at
Hey, let me try another. Let me take another whack at it. Let's pick on Dan Monks for a second.
Okay.
If there was something that came before this board that led us in a discussion of termination, wouldn't his employment contract supersede? I understand that it's a policy, but this board signed a contract with Dan.
So I can answer that one pretty
Oh,
simply.
you can? I'm not sure. That's probably a conflict of interest.
Well, it's going to be something I think you'll like. So if you were, with regard to my employment contract, which is public record, if I violate any policies of the select board, then I'm subject to termination, and this is a policy of the select board.
I got you.
What Dan said.
Although,
For cause, right, Dan?
I do believe our charter is still under review.
For cause. I understand that's what your contract says, for cause, and that would represent.
Yeah, cause.
For
If I
cause.
violated a select board policy, you'd bet that's cause.
Thanks for your help with that.
And I think, Nancy, I was just reading over again to speak to your worries about people serving on other town boards. It is clear in Article 8 that if a person believes they could possibly have even the appearance of a conflict of interest, that they should be expected to recuse themselves. And in that I believe that we are all determined to behave ethically. I myself have recused myself from items in the past, and I think other people have too. So I think that would be something we'd be able to point at if the need arose. So we do have to maintain the belief that our fellow board members are going to behave ethically. I feel very strongly about that.
Well, perhaps somebody can explain Article 9, post-recusal procedure, right under A. A public officer who has recused himself or herself from a proceeding shall not sit with the public body or deliberate or participate, but such member may still participate as a member of the public.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
Is that at the same meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, but for example, if you had to recuse yourself, you'd have to go sit in the audience and you wouldn't be given the weight of a board member when you were participating as a member of the public.
But the board member can still participate as a citizen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think to do otherwise would infringe on their First Amendment rights.
I mean, myself, I have typically left the room just to remove any aspect of
But that's a personal ethical choice.
That was a
not
personal
legal
choice that I made,
mandate. Yes.
yeah.
When said person moves to the audience, they're no longer voting on these issues. That's my understanding.
Correct.
So if it speaks a member of the public, they may in fact have a conflict, but they are not able to use their official responsibilities to the person or the other person's benefit in violation of the policy. So, right, I don't think anyone in this room hasn't walked out or kicked off a Zoom meeting when something that touched on them personally was coming up.
I also have been in the position to recuse, but have been asked for information about whatever the topic is, and so it needs to be clear that a member who has recused themselves cannot be a part of a deliberation or a vote. If it's appropriate that they provide information, that's always helpful, I think.
And we don't give up our rights as members of the community at the same time that we're recusing. I think the important thing there is the vote and the deliberation.
I think the deliberations, because if I was recusing, I shouldn't be swaying your vote, right? That's why I read it somewhere as deliberation and vote.
Yep.
That you would recuse yourself from those aspects.
And you've got the municipal code of ethics in here, and it lists the people impacted. On our conflict of interest policy, doesn't it include more people than just the select board and a couple of key town officials?
So are you asking for what the definition of
Well, I'm
public
just
officer is?
asking if it's more than the select board and a couple of town officials.
That means a person elected or statutorily appointed to perform executive, administrative, legislative, or quasi-judicial functions for the municipality. This term does not include any municipal employees. Employees are governed by a separate, specifically designed conflict of interest policy. So this is for elected and appointed officials.
What page are you on? Oh, they don't have page numbers.
It's on the second page of the policy, on the definition of public officer.
Article 3, application. This policy applies to all public officers that, as that term is defined below. So we're all public officers, hired, elected.
Well, in this particular place, it's elected or appointed. There's a specific and distinct, even more specific conflict of interest policy for
Article
for
4,
employees.
subsection G defines public officer.
I will remind everybody, this is the exact same policy that has been in place and has been part of your packet, and you folks sign off on it every year specifically, so there is no change here. I just want to, I think it's good to discuss it and remind everybody of what's happening here, but this is what you're bound by and have been bound by for years.
Clark.
Yeah, to address Dan's comment and Ed's here, one of the things that it goes through my mind is every time, as far as I'm concerned, everyone who works for the town of Bennington should be bound by conflict of interest. The idea is, you know, the salt guy plowing my driveway and street before he does the rest of the town, that kind of stuff. You know, do your job across the board even-handedly and above reproach. So, you know, I said it's town officers, but I think we should make it quite clear to the public that, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you work or are employed by the town of Bennington, you have to be honest and be above board in all your dealings and your duties.
Our conflict of interest policy is explicitly set forth in our employee manual that every employee signs when they become an employee, and when it's updated, they sign it. So our employees are well aware of their responsibilities under the conflict of interest policy. I will also point out, as David can certainly confirm, that the municipal ethics statute does apply to many employees, including the town manager and any department head. So that state statute explicitly applies to those folks as well. Our employee policy also applies to folks, all 90-plus employees, not just department heads and managers.
Right, thank you. I just wanted the public to be read in on that. I don't want to believe that we were excluding other entities.
Right. This particular policy happens to be exclusive to elected and appointed officials, but we have two other policies. We have another policy and a state statute that applies both to employees, all employees, as well as all elected and appointed officials as far as the municipal code of ethics is concerned.
So I will move to approve the updated policies as presented.
Second.
And I'm assuming you're recommending no changes to the public sign policy.
Correct.
I found no issues with the public sign policy as
4 paragraphs of it. Okay. Any further discussion from the board? All right, anything from the public? All right, then I will call the vote. All those in favor of approving the policies as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? All right. Thank you very much. It was a good first time for you. All right, manager's report.
All right, I unfortunately have a lot of action items for you folks tonight, but I'll try to be quick since we're getting up to 8 o'clock here. The first action is a request to close portions of Main Street and Pleasant Street for Bennington Pride 2026. I have received a request from the Pride Chair to close Main Street from Hemmings Motor News to School Street for the Pride Parade scheduled for 11 a.m. on June 27th. I'll note that Main Street will only be closed during the parade, so it should only be for about 30 minutes or less. And also to close Pleasant Street from School Street to North Street from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the Pride Block Party. I do note that these organizers have already been coordinating with the Bennington PD. I have confirmed with both the chief and the lieutenant that they're on track to have this particular event all set with them. They, as you know, the PD has worked in the past couple years very successfully with these folks, and they look forward to continuing to work with them. So I will look for an motion to approve the closures that are requested for the June 27th Pride event.
Tom, I'm going to recuse from this. I don't believe I have a real conflict of interest here, but out of a desire to follow the policy that we just approved, I will go sit in the audience.
Don't go too fast.
Could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay.
Anybody?
All right, any discussion?
Don't go far, Jackie.
Believed they're subject to approval, and they've met with the BPD, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't the roll, this isn't rolling like that last thing we approved. It's a set block of streets. period.
That's correct. It sounds like it's exactly like last year, if you...
It is.
I'm going to count for that.
Yep, it is.
Okay.
Anything else? Excellent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Jackie, you can come back to your seat.
Okay, so today is the day for street closures, so I also have a request from the Better Bennington Corporation for the events, much of which we talked about tonight, for 2026. They have requested road closures for the following events. In the following way. They've seeking permission to close Main Street from the Four Corners East to Valley Street and School Street from Main Street to Pleasant Street for Mayfest on May 23rd and Harvest Fest October 17th from 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. So that's one of their requests. Another request is regarding the Hemmings Cruise-Ins. They seek to close Main Street from Four Corners East to Valentine Street and School Street from Main Street to Pleasant Street on May 21st, June 18th, August 13th, and September 10th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. I just heard from the chief in CAM today. Susan's not here, but oh, there she is.
I missed one for Hemmings.
Okay, add one.
Should be May, June, July, August.
I noticed that July was not in the request, so what's the date for July?
July is the 17th, I believe.
July 17th. Okay. I wondered why you were doing one less in July, but I thought maybe we got rained out too many times and you're giving up on July. Okay, so May 21st, June 18th, July 17th, August 13th, and September 10th. And I was about to say, Susan has met with the chief and the lieutenant, and they're all set with regard to their coordination with the PD. And again, that was a closure from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So Mayfest, Harvest Fest, and the cruise.
Motion to approve the requested closures.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you email Susan the July date as well for approval?
She said July 17th.
We just added it.
July 17th.
Yes, can you email that her for approval? So she has that in her email?
Oh, well, yeah, I always follow up with emails to everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what you were asking, so it took me a minute, sorry.
No, just so she has it in her approval,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's okay.
Oh, the 16th.
Okay, yes, perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
everybody's okay with that?
Well, we'll see.
I'll amend my motion.
Do we have a motion problem now?
He's
because
agreed
the
to amend
date's
his motion
wrong?
to change it to July 16th rather than July 17th.
I want
Is
to
the
close on
seconder
the
okay with
17th.
that? Okay. Nancy?
Just quick question, BBC, any update? Are you close to hiring a new director?
Could we stay on the
This
topic?
is
That's unfortunately not something we can
relevant
talk
to the
about.
topic.
It's not at all relevant.
Well, when else have I had a chance to ask him?
Later.
Yeah, not now.
You could stop by and ask them. So, anything further on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
Okay. Halfway there, the next action item is regarding the Vermont Revolving Fund Forgivable Loan Agreement. This is the appointment of authorized representative for the $185,000 planning loan that was previously approved by the Select Board. You'll recall that this is to look at these alternatives for addressing PFAS impacts on Rocky Lane, Middle Pownell Road, South Stream Road, Colville Road, Niles Road, Fuller Road, and Lower East Road in Shasberry. And you'll see that the folks that you're being asked to appoint are myself and Larry Gates. And I do have the original here, so if you folks do make a motion to approve that, I'll circulate this resolution around.
Is that different than what it says here? Authorize the town manager and the select board chair?
It just
I'm
says
talking about
sign
two
the
different
attached
things, I
appointment
guess.
of alternative representative form.
That's the next one, Ed.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm jumping around.
we got a lot tonight, so it's hard to keep track of it all.
Sorry. Oh, my God, thank you.
So could I hear a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Nancy?
Because this includes part of Shasberry, will anyone from Shasberry need to sign this with you?
No, not according to the state.
Anything else? All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? One more, Dan.
I'll pass that along. Thank you, Nancy. One more, I'm almost done. I almost forgot what this one's about. This is an authorization for the town manager and select board chair to set a select board public hearing date for the request to rezone 1033 Willow Road. This is that property adjacent to the Apple Hill subdivision owned by entities controlled by Thomas and Michael Malone. You'll recall that they requested to change that property from rural conservation to rural residential. The Planning Commission has already conducted their hearing, and I did pass along to all you folks their response to this request. Pursuant to our agreement with the Malones, we do have to follow the process through to the end, so we do need to have at least one public hearing regarding this request for the Select Board. And this is just simple. I'm asking you to let Tom Haley as a chair, and I to come up with a meeting date and work with David Conwell to set that up for you folks. And it'll likely be in the May timeframe.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager and the select board chair to set the public hearing date for said rezoning request.
Second.
Any discussion? Nancy?
The document we had tonight on the table, is this online for the public, or can this
Yes.
get, okay,
Yep.
people can read this then?
Yes.
Okay.
That was in the packet.
Anything else? Clark?
I remember that agreement, so legally it's lost and cut out. I'm reading the slides are about their recommendations.
Is your mic on?
What do we need to do other than approve this date? There's no decision-making?
No decision tonight.
Here or what?
No decision tonight whatsoever, except authorizing Tom to set the date for the required public hearing. And then once you have the public hearing, you folks can take no action, you can deny it, you can approve it.
The first step is just setting the public hearing date.
Yeah, we'll consider the comments from the planning commission at the public hearing.
Yep, absolutely. It'll give an opportunity for the public and for the folks making the request to address the board at a public hearing, which is part of the statutory process of reviewing a request.
Okay, great. Thank you. That clears it up.
I do have one other item.
Well, we still have to vote on this one.
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
All those in favor of the motions, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Dan, you have another.
My one other item is specifically for Clark, because he did chastise me last time, and I said I would take care of it, and I didn't. And that's the Community Development Director's report. Should be the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Director's report. And I failed to do that, so Clark, I apologize. Next time I'll try to do better.
30 lashes.
Is this cause for removal?
It might be.
It's awfully soon to be getting written up for something, yeah.
I wanted to beat Clark to the punch, because I figured he probably noticed.
All right.
When it comes to minutia, once you turn it over to a lawyer, I'm always left.
So that's all you have for us?
That's all I got tonight.
That's plenty. Okay. Upcoming agenda. I will confess that I switched jackets, and my notes are in my other one. But we did discuss things at the meeting.
I have a couple of things that are not set in stone, but we certainly could be discussing at the next meeting, depending upon what information we receive. I know that there is a request regarding the opioid funding that we've received regarding distributing that to a local entity, so that may be coming before us. I don't know, Tom, where that stands, but just wanted to give people a heads up on that. We could certainly request that the chief come in for a police department update, and I'm happy to do that if that's the chair's pleasure. And the other thing, some minor thing, we have to approve some state-required road and bridge standards. Pretty not too exciting stuff, but on the agenda perhaps for the next meeting. And then there was one other thing, the Energy Committee, I understand, had wanted to discuss some changes to their process, so I don't know if that'll be... That's not till April. That's not till April, okay? Not till April.
Is that already scheduled?
Tentatively.
Okay. I saw the topic. I'm interested. Yeah.
So that's all I have on the list of what we need to do. Obviously, the meeting after that will be your organizational meeting where you'll be electing officers and we'll be going through a checklist of things like the conflict of interest policy and the rules of procedure, et cetera, that we look at every year.
Don't miss that meeting.
Okay, anything else anyone wanted to interject here?
Sure. Next agenda, Ben High.
Are we on other business or upcoming agenda?
We're on an upcoming agenda. What specifically on Ben High?
Well, when our voters got a ballot, when they looked at what was in the town budget, it didn't say a word about $282,250. Brand-new taxes our taxpayers are supposed to pay for the Ben High. Now, I brought this up during the budget meeting in January. I said our taxpayers do not owe all that money. And a few days before voting, I remembered, starting in 2022 here at meetings, officials were telling the public, Bennington taxpayers, you're already paying $200,000 a year in the budget. That money can get swung up to the Ben High. No new taxes. Well,
Excuse me, Nancy, do you want to put this on the agenda for an upcoming meeting for discussion? Because it's not on the agenda for this meeting.
Well, $282,000.
It's not on the agenda for this meeting, so we shouldn't be discussing it.
Why was it not on the ballot, Jim?
It's not on the agenda for this meeting, so we should not be discussing it at this meeting.
I want a question. Is it legal in Vermont for a select board?
It's not legal in Vermont for a select board to discuss items that are not on the agenda.
Thank you.
Well, this is other business. Other business is for any member of the select board to bring up something other board members of the public should be aware of.
I'm actually
We're talking about upcoming agenda items. But again,
well,
we're not supposed to talk about things that aren't on the agenda.
Now, okay, anything else?
Can we remember?
Then we'll move on to other business.
I have an item for
Okay.
I have other business when we get there.
I'll move down the table. Go ahead, Jim.
I would like to, at some point, have a discussion of when and how we use our new remote meeting technology, and if we make any changes to current policy and process.
That's a very
That's a good one,
worthwhile topic.
Yep. Clark?
And my request is the vicious dog ordinance. When I know it's being formulated, but when can we expect to actually present that and vote on it?
What ordinance?
The vicious dog ordinance.
I just had my last meeting on the subject, so I'm going to be getting with Dan and have staff take a look at ways we can adopt that. And I expect that will be probably, I'm looking at April, before they have language ready.
It's going to be ugly.
All right, other business. Nancy?
Yeah. I want to know, again, the Ben High. How much money are our taxpayers on the hook for in the upcoming budget year?
I would say that everything that we are going to be spending on Ben High was explicitly listed in the budget, if you read through it. Dan, can
We discussed it
anything
at
to that?
length during the budget session, yes.
And the voters approved it.
Yeah.
The voters didn't even know it was in the budget. It didn't say anything in the budget on the ballot.
I think you're assuming that the voters didn't do their homework before they voted, which is unfair.
It isn't up to any voter to go through how many pages was our line item that we talked about. That's our job, to make sure the public knows it.
And it was discussed openly at the budget sessions.
I brought it up.
And we discussed it.
Well done.
Nobody said, where is that money going? And I forgot about the $200,000 that the public has been told for 3 years. That money's already in the budget. That's getting swung up to the Ben High.
It is impossible to list every possible subject in the budget.
I would suggest that Nancy has her say and that we not discuss it further because it's not an agenda item.
Well, I'll remind the board the night of the Ben High meeting. I couldn't even ask all my questions. The board jumped in, cut me off, called the vote for the Ben High. I said, wait a minute, they voted anyways. So there's a lot of questions the public should have had answered.
Thank you. Anything else for other business?
Well, I asked for Meals on Wheels to be asked here tonight. Did they get invited?
Tom, maybe a reminder of what ends up on the agenda.
Right.
Just because we say it doesn't mean it's going to be here. This board needs to have some action, potential action for something, or just be aware of something with an organization that we already work with.
Can anybody on the board deny that for 3.5 years, everyone was told, Meals on Wheels in the senior center will be at the Ben High, the senior building is empty? I don't understand why Meals on Wheels wasn't allowed to go to the Ben High.
That was gone over in several meetings.
Yeah, it was covered, and there were a lot of factors involved. And I think, the board is well aware that the original intent was for Meals on Wheels to be at the Ben High, but circumstances changed to make that impossible. And I think many of us wish that the Meals on Wheels could be at the Ben High, but it couldn't work the way the final agreement worked out, and who knows what will happen in the future.
Well, when the voters voted on the Ben High building, after about 500 voters signed a petition, at no point did any official ever even suggest, well, the senior building may not be empty.
Any large public-private...
Asked and answered.
Yeah. Any large project is constantly in motion, and there are constantly changes, and that's just the way large projects have to work, because circumstances change.
Boy, they sure changed with that project.
Okay, thanks. Anything else? Sarah.
Yes, I would like to suggest that during reorganization, we also go over structure for upcoming agendas and other business as well. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Jim?
Yes, the chair passed around an email to board members that there's an open meeting law training on April 22nd, I believe at 4 o'clock. I think it's evident that we could use some of that.
Right here, in this room. Jackie?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Clark?
Maybe jumping the gun. Excuse me. Might be jumping the gun, but I have a couple of significant vacation travel plans this summer. We're going to miss one meeting in May and one meeting in June. So, folks keep that in mind. Of course, I will have my laptop with me, and if somewhere in the Danube River you really need me, I'll tune in. But yeah.
Keep me posted. We'll work it out case by case.
Read the minutes after.
That's all that I see. Just those two big trips coming up.
Ed.
So I got a couple of things. First of all, for those of you that happen to be downtown around 4 o'clock this afternoon, you probably noticed a little bit of a commotion. That was because our MAU Nordic team, our varsity team, won the state championship this season, and they were treated to a community-wide parade, as a lot of our teams often are, and the spirit out there was great. So thanks to everybody who was involved. And I was reelected, and I'm going to use my time to say thank you and congratulations to Sarah Perrin, who was on the ballot with me. Great. Here we go again.
All right. Thank you very much. I have nothing to add to that, so could I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much, everyone, and to everyone that stayed so long.
Yes.